Greetings everyone and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm your host Captain Ryan. Today's YouTube video comes to us courtesy of Commander Winkpy. And Commander Winkpy is in the Tier 8 US battleship, the North Carolina. As the battle gets underway, it's the neighbors map and it's domination match mode. Winkpy's team is heading in force to the sea cap point, not unusual for teams that spawn on this side of the map, and as you can see based on the ships that are already starting to be spotted by the forward destroyers and cruisers, the enemy team is also pushing the sea cap point as well. The enemy team, however, is heavily in the process of capping the B cap point, and from the looks of it, there's not really anybody who's in a position to, or who is willing to, spot and contest at the B cap point. So the enemy team is going to get a very early lead here with some points due to capturing that location. It also means that whoever's at the B cap point is now in a prime position to go down and cap A. And as you can see, based on the minimap, there's nobody who's in a position to contest A at all, as all of Winkpy's team has headed off to the sea cap point. Now the North Carolina is a pretty reasonable battleship at Tier 8. It's got some pretty good guns and some very long range. In fact, the North Carolina at Tier 8, for the first time in the American battleship line, has longer gun ranges than her German and Japanese counterparts. She's also the first fast battleship in the US line, being able to push up to around 28 knots. In comparison, the Colorado, which directly precedes it, can only go 21.5 knots. So when you finally find yourself in this ship, there's a lot of new functionalities to it that you have to learn how to play with. Mainly, it's the speed and it's the quick rotation on the gun turrets associated with this battleship. Those gun turrets do traverse enough so that you can actually maneuver this ship, and you can maneuver it quite effectively and keep your guns in the fight for much of your maneuvering. The ship also has a reasonably protected citadel, and that used to not be the case. Not too long ago, the citadel on this ship was a little bit on the high side, and that resulted in getting penetrated quite easily when exposing broadside. Additionally, the ship also had a bit of an issue with the bow, being as bulbous as it is, effectively being rendered as a flat plane as opposed to a rounded surface, resulting in people penetrating and citadeling from the bow. Now, Winkpy manages to get hit by 2 torpedoes from that enemy destroyer that was located at the B cap point, and that really does hurt there. But as you can see, he was able to take 2 torpedoes and was able to survive. So now he's going to go ahead and he's going to use this island for protection. It's always wonderful if you can get yourself some additional kilometer or so of rock armor to prevent those incoming shots. But you can see he's being detected and he's being targeted off and on. That's more likely that the enemy cruiser that's back behind there has popped his hydro, is detecting Winkpy, and is targeting him with torpedoes just to see where he's going to go. So Winkpy's well aware of that, and as you can see, he's not going to continue pushing around that island. In fact, he's going to turn the other direction to avoid potential torpedoes. And enemy destroyer pops out from behind that island, very low health, looks like he was going in for a bit of a suicide run, and he gets deleted by the friendly ship there. Winkpy's team has not managed to secure a cap yet, but as you can see, they're up on points because so far they've managed to completely rout the enemy. They're dominating, having killed 4 of the enemy ships to the enemy team's none. And more importantly, they've managed to kill 2 of the 3 destroyers on the enemy team and at least 2 other ships. So that means that his team has got the destroyer advantage. But now they need to figure out a way to press home that destroyer advantage, or they're going to get wasted as their team continues to try and kill the enemy. Now, Winkpeas has managed to get himself beached here by not totally paying attention, but it's okay as his concealment on this ship is keeping him just out of range of being spotted, and he's holding his fire until he has a better shot on this cruiser out here in the distance. And he's also holding his fire to avoid being blasted by these battleships as he reverses off of that beach. Yes, I know the beach is a wonderful place to be, and you definitely want to give your sailors some R&R, but the middle of a battle, probably not the best time to pull that maneuver. The enemy team has managed to pull back the score situation and has actually gained the points lead because they have 2 of those caps. They've been gaining those points all along, and because they managed to kill 3 of Winkpeas' team at once, they hold that advantage. That enemy destroyer that put torpedoes in a Winkpea, very low health, is about to get a nasty return for his efforts as Winkpea manages to take justified revenge and sends him to the bottom. Winkpea doesn't have a lot of health left. He does have a repair ability here, and I'm actually surprised that he's not actively using that repair, because in this kind of situation, having any additional HP is very important, and it's not like you're going to be able to regain any more of that based on how much HP it's letting you recover. That Colorado up there took some torpedoes there. He's probably not particularly happy about taking those torpedoes. And Winkpea sends some shots his way, but doesn't really manage to connect as effectively. He does pop his damage repair and starts getting some health back up, but as you can see there, he's very low health by comparison. So he's going to go ahead and he's going to use the friendly destroyer's smoke screen that's been laid down here to get himself into a position to start shooting at some of these enemy ships that are pushing up around the side. The enemy team has no more destroyers, while Winkpea's team has all of the destroyers still left, but they have some enemy ships that have radar, but not anymore, as Winkpea manages to delete that Atlanta. Life pro tip, if you're in an Atlanta, pay very close attention to the last known positions of battleships, because odds are they're going to look for you as a soft, squishy target to exact some much needed punching bag therapy. Now, the enemy team is down 6 ships, and Winkpea's team is only down 3. But again, remember that the enemy team still holds 2 cap points, so they're still up on points. They are in the points lead. At this point, Winkpea's team really needs to coordinate their effort and start pushing to take the B cap point. Yes, there are a couple of ships still back up behind the C cap point, but I think it's important that Winkpea's team, especially the destroyers, get themselves into that position and start rapidly and aggressively pushing to that location, or they're going to have a very, very bad time as the enemy team continues to gain those points and wins on points. Now, Winkpea has got himself in a situation where he's basically going to go ahead and try and bow tank another battleship, and this is another U.S. battleship with U.S. battleship guns. He gets his guns turned to the other side. That guy puts rounds out, causes a significant amount of damage, but Winkpea holds his fire and finishes him off with a better shot. But of course, the secondaries from that manage to set him on fire. So he puts that out, he gets the repair going yet again, and the enemy team is still managing to hang on barely as they manage to take out some of Winkpea's team. But Winkpea's team still has all of the destroyers. The enemy team now down to just 3 ships, one of whom is way, way far away off back behind the C cap point, and the other 2 who are down here, one of which appears to be AFK. Considering that ship is AFK for the entirety of this battle, the fact that his team did so well is actually pretty impressive. But Winkpy manages, with a brief moment where he was spotted, to land 2 citadels and delete that cruiser instantly. That is some serious favor from the RNG gods. Because I can tell you from personal experience, every time I try to make those shots, RNG gives me a couple of overpins and the guy disappears until such time as somebody else gets close enough to torpedo him. Enemy battleship off in the distance here is still full health for the most part, and this could be a dangerous situation for Winkpy, as he doesn't have a lot of health, and even if it's a tier 6 battleship, he can put the hurt on to Winkpy. He could be firing high explosive if he wanted to, and set Winkpy on fire. Additionally, he could fire armor piercing and get some over penetrations into the superstructure and put some serious hurt. Now, that New Mexico is firing high explosive and trying to set Winkpy on fire, but you'll notice that he turned broadside in order to get all his guns away, and he's continuing to stay broadside. If you find yourself in a tier 6 battleship in this kind of situation, continue to point your bow at the enemy. Use your rudder shift time on the ship and keep that bow pointed so that you can at least mitigate some of the damage that comes in there. Now, he does turn last minute, but Winkpy manages to get a penetration there. Now, Winkpy is going to go ahead and he's going to engage directly with this battleship. And his friendly destroyer here has got torpedoes out at this battleship. He might hit him with one. It is a wide spread, but you'll notice that he's not sticking around. He's actually headed straight towards the A cap point, and that's a smart move. If he can get into the A cap point, he can stop the enemy team from gaining points. And right now, the enemy team, having gained as many points as they did from having those 2 cap points for as long as they did, is still an incredible threat. Because they could finish off Winkpy, they could finish off some of the other cruisers and battleships that are low health, and have the points advantage going into the end game. Of course, Winkpy's team does have all of the destroyers left here. The New Mexico finally does manage to set a fire on Winkpy's deck, but he puts it out immediately. He doesn't have the health to spare, and this could be a serious problem if that New Mexico manages to set another fire when that damage control wears down. Now, Winkpy's going to try and go ahead and kill him, and he does manage to do it, so he doesn't get set on fire again. That's excellent, and that's going to be 5 kills for Winkpy. And now, there's just 1 ship left. His team is in the process of capping the A cap point, and so the enemy team is no longer gaining points. And because the enemy team is no longer gaining points, now it's just a matter of corralling this last enemy battleship into a position to finish him off. And he's just outside of Winkpy's gun range. The North Carolina has the option of either taking the catapult fighter or taking the spotter aircraft. And in my personal opinion, this battleship does really, really well with the spotter aircraft, increasing that gun range. I mean, as you can see there on the minimap, if he had that spotter, his gun range would effectively increase and encompass the entire map. The North Carolina has some pretty decent anti-aircraft, and if you take basics of firing training or advanced firing training, which will boost not only your anti-aircraft rating, but your secondary range as well, you can actually have a very, very respectable anti-aircraft rating without needing to have those catapult fighters. And so you can have that spotter, and you can use that gun range. Now, Winkpy's trying to get shots out here at this Bayern, who is border riding, that filthy, filthy border riding scrub, and he's keeping himself alive just barely. If the Bayern decided that he wanted to go ahead and shoot at Winkpy, it wouldn't surprise me. And given that Winkpy is maneuvering to keep all of his guns on target here, he could possibly get some lucky shots, but as you can see there, he's dealing with shots coming in from the destroyers and from the cruiser that is back over there. With all of the caps secured, now it's just a matter of who's going to win. Is it points? Who's going to get the kill? Shots coming in there from the friendly ship, but Wink P's shots connect Citadel and finish him off for 6 kills. Look at that. Confederate Dreadnought, Kraken Unleashed, double devastating strike, and a high caliber in that game. 6 kills, 4 Citadels, 1 base capture assist, and 143,000 damage done in that game, showing that you can really do reasonably well in this ship. Top tier, even if you take a lot of hits, just playing smartly, keeping yourself hidden until the opportune time. Top of the team for XP earned at 2,200 base XP in this battle, and as you can see there, the AFK ship, 0 points. Nobody on the enemy team even managed to break the 1,000 mark. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you liked the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and leave a comment down below. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, as well as my live streaming schedule for the week, you can do so by liking and following me on Facebook. If you'd like to help support me and the channel grow, you can do so by becoming my supporter on Patreon. Patreon supporters get additional perks. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to see featured on my YouTube channel, you can do so by sending it to my email. And as mentioned previously, if you'd like to watch me play World of Warships among other games live, you can do so by following me on Twitch. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.